Well, I'm going to be on another podcast that
Oh, yeah?
will already
Wow.
be out by the time this episode comes out.
I feel like Sophie's just rubbing it in how she's like more famous than us, Hannah.
Yeah, what the hell?
I'm more famous with the 5 to 12 demographic.
That's legit.
I really appreciate how you're doing the work to expand our brand by connecting with audiences that absolutely cannot listen to this podcast.
Apparently, by this logic, there's like no overlap in age of the people who like jellyfish and the people who read YA and up. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am one of your hosts, Sophie, but I have a randomly generated fantasy name today. You know, we had talked about, I think maybe we're getting too used to this fantasy generator and it's not as funny anymore. But this one made me laugh. I am Waltole Secret Cheeks.
Aww.
Yeah.
Secret cheeks.
Secret cheeks.
Yep.
What's so secret about those cheeks?
My immediate thought is that it's like really wholesome, but we did just have a 15-minute
not.
discussion, which I cut out all about how porny books have gotten.
Yeah. I'm either the cheeks are secret or they're full of secrets. One or the other.
It's why they're so big. They're full of secrets.
They're full of secrets. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'll
are
go
you
into
guys?
me next. My name's Sam, but today in Fantasy World, you can call me Jack My Wild Tailor.
Oh no!
Wild Taylor.
Jack
Jack
My
My?
Wild Tailor. Jack
Jack
My.
My Wild Tailor? I hate that.
Why do you hate it? What's to hate about it?
Jack My.
Yeah.
I went from Jake to Jack My.
I think I'm still, again, in the
In
all
the-
books are porn mindset.
Oh.
Oh.
It kind of
I don't-
sounds like it could be a Chuck Tingle title,
Yeah, that's
is the
fair.
problem for me.
Oh, Chuck Tingle. That's
Uh,
fair. That's fair.
Maybe the next book we read should be a Chuck Tingle book.
No. No.
Sophie, you're
I-
the one who hates it when we talk about dicks.
I was like,
We just
I
have to-
arguably read the most romance books of this trio, and like, I
Arguably?
don't want to. No.
We just have to bleep out the entire episode. It would just be one long bleep.
I can't. I can't.
It's okay. We'll do it when we start a Patreon.
Perfect.
Who are you? The last one?
The last one is me. My name is Hannah, but my randomly generated fantasy name is Zachriel Potato Strange. Which
Zachriel?
Zachriel Potato Strange. It sounds like two different genres in the same name to me.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
does.
Potato Strange.
Potato Strange.
What a good name.
I appreciate.
Yeah.
Potato Strange is good.
It's very good.
That doesn't sound like a name, though.
No, it doesn't.
It sounds like a farm disease. Like, oh, my field's got the potato strange.
Yeah.
You know how farmers always are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's my boy Zachriel. He's been with us ever since the Potato Strange.
Whoa.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's an indie video game for sure.
Definitely.
How about we talk about the two chapters we read
Yes.
for Eragon
Yeah.
this week?
Let's do
For
it.
Eragon, in Eragon, the book.
One of those.
Uh-huh. Of?
Yeah, of
In?
Eragon. Yeah, of is actually the correct one.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, I guess that's me. Haha. Yes. So, chapter 57, The Shadows Lengthen. Well, we finally get to the climax of this book, which I've been yelling about that's been missing for I don't even know how many episodes now. But alas, here we are. Eragon and Saphira are awoken by a frantic dwarf who summons them on behalf of Ajahad. Ajahad has now gathered his 5 most important people in the mountain to notify them that the Urgles have infiltrated the tunnels underneath Trondheim and are on their way to attack the city from below. Which I will give Poloni, I don't know, is a kind of cool concept because, like, I don't think I've actually ever seen that before of, like, someone attacking from below. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. Anyways, so their solution to try to slow this down or, you know, try to stop them is to collapse a number of tunnels before the Urgles can get through them. But they have to do this without destroying tunnels that are structurally integral. Wow, I can't speak today. But blame.
Integral?
Anyways.
Integral.
They're important for the structure of Trondheim. So it keeps it together. Anyways, so Eragon and Saphira go about and do exactly that and destroy a bunch of tunnels. And then once they finish that, they head back to the main army group where they're helping with a bunch of other preparations to get ready for it. And then they decide to get some sleep before the big fight. And in a shocking turn of events, the chapter ends with Eragon waking up.
Oh my god, right?
It's a shocker.
It's a big day.
To be fair, it also ends with him falling asleep.
I know, but like the last sentence was him waking up. So like
asleep and wakes up in the same paragraph.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're gonna take it as, you know, it's a mix up. We're getting a change here, and like,
yeah,
it only took 57 chapters, but here we are.
I feel like I need to do some stats on the
count
the chapters. Yeah,
that would be funny. Yeah.
It's gonna be the worst because you'll do it and it'll be like, actually there were like less than half of the chapters he fell asleep, and we're gonna be like, shit.
I refuse to believe that.
That can't possibly be true.
There's no way.
No. Okay. Anyway, the next chapter is called Battle Under Farthen Door. And as you might expect, the battle has begun! The Urgles begin emerging from the 3 open entry points that they left when they were collapsing the tunnels, and though the Farthen and dwarvish forces fight well, the Urgles just keep coming. There's just so many of them. Eragon and Saphira are a key part of the fight, using Eragon's swordsmanship and magic, and Saphira's size and crucially her ability to fly to their advantage. And they move around a bit on the battlefield, helping whichever group seems to be doing poorly. They notice that the Urgles have no clear leader, which everyone finds weird and concerning. Murtagh, Angela, and Arya all have a couple of badass moments apiece. The twins mentally call Eragon and Arya back to Trondheim because it sounds like the Urgles are digging upwards into the city, which was something they were trying to avoid. And on the way, Saphira is injured but makes it to the Dragon Hold, at which point Eragon laments that he is so far from the lower level of Trondheim. So you know what that means. It's slide time!
Yeah!
Yeah! Eragon goes down the big slide, and after he dizzily picks himself up off the ground floor, so to speak, the floor explodes, and a band of Urgles pours out, along with Durza the Shade, who is, as a matter of fact, not dead. Eragon and Durza engage in a fierce battle, during which we get a little bit of Durza backstory that nobody asked for. Eragon takes a deep slash across his back and is about to die when Saphira and Arya appear from above, smashing through the star sapphire and distracting Durza for just long enough that Eragon is able to Brasinger sword stab him right through the heart, at which point Durza dies extremely dramatically and Eragon passes out.
Wow. Nice.
Dramatique.
I need a drink. That was a long one.
Those were a lot of words.
I mean, it was a long chapter.
They were both long chapters.
It only took 58 chapters to finally, like, you know, get somewhere.
Yeah, the plot finally happened.
Yeah. I mean,
exciting.
I shouldn't be so mean about it because, like, there were a bunch of, like, action scenes and stuff, like, happening throughout, but it was just, like, the last few chapters have just been so much, like, we're just with the Farthen exploring Trondheim, like, nothing big happening, that I'm just like, how is this book going to end?
What is happening?
What
it's going to end
like
in
this.
2 chapters. That's the whole plot.
Yeah.
That's it. The whole plot happens right here in these 2 chapters. So it's basically just a big battle.
Yeah.
And I guess the preparations for the big battle.
Yeah, my main question is, so the beginning of the first chapter, that we read. They're just like, wow, the Urgles, it turns out they're in the tunnels and we're going to be attacked from below. And it's like, you made your, like, literally Trondheim is supposed to be this place where, like, all the dwarves in Allegasia can come to hide, and they didn't make a way to, like, block off all the tunnels.
Yeah, right?
I also had that thought.
Like, what the hell?
Like,
Yeah. There's a whole thing that they're like, how did they even get into these tunnels? Like, how are they getting here? And Auric explains that there are so many tunnels that, like, dwarves apparently just go tunneling around, and, like, there are so many tunnels all over the place that have never been used since they were dug. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah, and like,
on?
and like you're in a, like, century-long war with this guy.
Yeah.
Did you not think to maybe, like, purposefully shut down a bunch of tunnels?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a security issue for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild that they went through the whole, again, as you mentioned, built this city to safely house the entire race of people. They built it within a mountain that is so tall it is physiologically impossible to, like, fly over it and get inside. There should only be, like, 1 or 2 ways in and out, right, for security reasons.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh no, dwarves are just like mole rats and they dig tunnels for no reason. And, like, sometimes Urgles come into those tunnels and it's like, ah, sheesh, like, who could have predicted this?
What happened? Yeah, and also there are, like, this becomes an issue obviously in the second chapter, but, like, they're like, yeah, there's just so many tunnels under Trondheim, they could just come right up. And it's like, why'd you put tunnels under your stronghold? Like, what?
Who thought of that?
I think he wrote himself into a pickle. Like, he wrote himself into a way that he was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? Like, there's no way that these Urgles can, like, feasibly attack this place. So, like, let's do it underground. And, like, I will give it to him. It is kind of original, but it is heavily flawed from, like, the perspective of what? Like,
yeah, it took multiple generations for the dwarves to build Trondheim.
yeah.
Like, it took multiple centuries, and in that time, nobody did any urban planning.
Yeah.
No, probably not. But it doesn't. But my, like, question too, though, is it's like, why has it taken them so long to find this?
Yeah, maybe they weren't looking before.
Maybe, and maybe Eragon did lead them to the mountains, so they knew, like, oh, okay, this was, like, where it is.
Direction in the tunnels, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess that's probably kind of where he's going with it. But it just seems just like a lot of, like, plot convenience.
Yeah.
But also just, like, a huge oversight in the mountain development.
A huge oversight in the mountain development. I could see it as, like, the reason they attack now is because they know Eragon's there. And so they've been preparing and preparing and preparing to face the Varden.
Yeah.
And then their attack date just got moved up earlier because they're like, oh shit, we have to make sure we take care of this problem before Eragon comes into his powers.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also the twins have something to do with it, but I think we might come to that later, so...
That was the biggest shock to me.
Yeah.
They didn't sell him out.
That they what?
That they didn't sell... That it wasn't them tricking him at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, they were the ones who told him he had to go back to Trondheim.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was also going to bring that up, that, like, maybe the reason, like, they knew how to get there and the reason they're doing it now is whoever the traitor is in the Varden contacted them and told them.
Right.
I don't know who that could possibly be.
Who could it be? You know, it's probably Murtagh.
It's probably Murtagh, yeah. Oh, they let Murtagh out of his rich guy jail to fight in the battle. That's cool.
Yeah, sorry, before we get to that, I just, one very brief... Saphira can fit in Ashahad's study?
I also am just very confused at the size of this dragon.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but this chapter...
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
All of our complicated dragon math was for nothing because we got, like, a pretty concrete size for Saphira in this chapter.
Yeah.
Eragon says that when he is on Saphira's back, he is too high up to fight a regular Urgle, but he can fight a Cull. And as we learned a couple chapters ago, Cull are all 8 feet tall or higher. which means that Saphira is about 8 feet tall at her shoulder and not 45 feet, which is what I calculated.
Well,
I
okay,
can't
so
unsee the 44 feet though,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
okay,
can't.
I did some math about this because I was
did
like,
you?
okay, a cull is 8 feet or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Eragon's sword is a long sword, which makes it about 4.2 feet long, roughly. Eragon, being probably an averagely sized 16-year-old,
Uh-huh.
when he's sitting, right, I had to do the math of like when he's sitting
God.
down, where is his shoulder? How long is his arm? So
Oh my
arm
God.
plus sword from his shoulder. How high would Saphira be? So
hell?
I think in order to be able to fight a cull who is 8 feet tall, Saphira would be like 11 or 12 feet, you know, like 10 to 12 feet at the shoulder,
Uh-huh.
because Eragon
Yeah.
can reach, and he cannot reach a normal Urgle. So
Okay.
Saphira can't be shorter than that.
Yeah, so
Right? Does
either
that
way,
make
she's
sense?
not. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just assuming that since Aragon's like sitting on her back anyway, and we'll have to like lean to one side.
Yeah. That's why I think maybe 12 feet is reasonable. And I just want to say, I opened my notes from the previous episode where I did math, and I had an estimate for Saphira being around 13 feet tall at the shoulder.
There you
Okay,
go.
you're so good at math. Whatever.
Wow. No, but that was the one that we all agreed was not correct, because that was the one where it was assuming her knee was the upper digitigrade actual knee,
Right.
instead of
So
it being her like backwards ankle.
So is this like the thing where you use the wrong formula but still somehow get the right answer?
Well, I used the correct biological term of knee to get this answer, and then when we decided they probably meant her backwards knee, she would be 31 feet tall.
Oh.
Well,
So what I'm saying is that Eragon is good at biology.
Yeah. So basically with all of the math we have done, Saphira is somewhere between 8 and 45 feet tall.
lovely.
Yeah, we have a really concise, close estimate of of maybe slightly taller than like a 1-story building, or the size of a 747.
Yeah, you know, either or.
Anyway, the important thing is that she can fit in Azhihad's study for somehow.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe it's just her head.
Maybe.
Or maybe
It was
he
definitely
has a tall.
glossed over.
Yeah.
Like, it never says she's actually in there.
Yeah,
it just says they go together, Eragon talks to Azhihad while they're there, and then they're leaving together. But it doesn't say she's inside.
maybe she's outside.
Yeah.
Just
Anyway.
like sitting on the stoop waiting for Eragon. Because nobody builds infrastructure for dragons except
No.
Do you maybe
in
want
the
to talk about that a little
Temeraire
bit? Okay.
No, I'm just thinking about Temeraire.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the elves have infrastructure for dragons later in the books, but that's
Oh, nice.
not really here nor there at this point.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, why would the dwarves have dragon infrastructure if you think about it?
They do have dragon armor, though.
They do have dragon armor. Also, like, wow, how convenient that dragons grow consistently throughout their entire lives, and the dragon armor they have just happens to fit Saphira perfectly. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty convenient.
Also, pretty convenient that they, by the same logic, they have exactly Eragon-sized armor.
Yeah, that no one has ever worn. Just like someone
Yeah.
made a full set of Eragon-sized armor and was like,
Uh-huh.
oops, I grew while I was making this full set of mail
Full
and
set of fancy
whatever.
armor. Although I'm pretty sure it's got, like, I think the helm is made of silver, which, like,
It's silver and
Silver?
gold?
the two, like, easiest to break metals.
Yeah,
I was
like
gonna
that
say, you
seems
don't
like a
want
bad.
those.
Yeah.
No. Gold is extremely heavy and extremely soft, which seems like the two qualities you
The
least want in a
opposite.
helmet.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, he's so strong and powerful, is the thing.
It's true. Extremely strong and powerful. Maybe it's just like gold and silver leaf.
Yeah, maybe.
It's gilded and gitted.
His whole body is hard, so...
It's true. He doesn't even need armor. He's just so hard.
Oh no. Guys.
Okay, anyway, can we go back to talking about Saphira's armor? Because I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, talk about it.
It covers her entire neck except for the spikes along its ridge, with triangular scales, heavy armor across her belly and chest, lighter pieces on her tail. Her legs and back are completely covered in the armor, but her wings are bare so she can fly, and she has a little helmet, which is extremely adorable to me. But also, this armor is up to an inch thick and described as being extremely heavy, which makes me wonder how she can carry all that when she struggled to carry 3 people.
Yeah. Maybe she's big and stronger now.
It's true. And she wasn't injured when she put it on, and she was injured when she was carrying 3 people.
That's true.
That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the armor is magic. Or maybe it's just like if the weight is more distributed rather than like directly above her shoulder joint.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That makes sense.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe if it's all concentrated. Who knows?
How it's easier to wear a backpack if it also has like hip straps because you can distribute the weight as opposed to just carrying like a messenger bag full of bricks. Like that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that kind of sucks a lot. Maybe it's like, I wonder if Saphira's magic is like a little bit tied up in if she's overthinking about it. You know, like maybe there's
Saphira has anxiety.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes she just does stuff without actively trying, and so if she's actively focusing or trying to do something, it's not as easy for her to do it. Like maybe when she's focused on something else, she can magically like make herself able to carry this heavy armor, but when she's like, oh my god, I'm injured, this armor is so heavy, and then she gets in her own head and can't carry it as easily. I don't know.
I feel like that's probably not what's happening, but I really like it as a theory.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's fun. And by fun, I mean not fun for Saphira.
Yeah. Not fun, yay, but fun, interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool armor. Also, Eragon has armor, but we don't need to talk about it.
No, Eragon just has
guy armor.
Some armor for a dude.
For a guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then he and Arya help like collapse these tunnels with magic as they're like part of the preparations. I feel like the magic as portrayed in this chapter acted differently than I thought it does. Did you guys have that experience?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, because he talks about using thristadeloi, which means compress the earth, but he like sends the magic into the earth above the tunnels, and he describes it as probing around with the magic, feeling for weak spots in the rock.
Yeah, it's less like he says the words and the magic happens, and more that he like sends his mind out.
Yeah,
through magic, which like you see in other books, but I don't know that we've seen it in this book before.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I don't have much to say about it beyond that, but yeah, it's just interesting that it seems to be acting differently than we've seen him using magic in the past. And maybe that's an inconsistency in the writing, or maybe that's Eragon becoming like stronger and more practiced at magic, that he's able to like be a little more connected to it rather than just unleashing it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Not me.
Certainly not me.
No.
Most importantly, Eragon doesn't get a friggin' onion with his meal.
That is pretty important.
These are truly war rations.
Yeah.
He gets bread and water and not a single whole onion.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame. That's all I had to say about it.
Yeah. Honestly, I ignored that part because I was like, oh, whatever. Battle rations. Saphira gets a dried meat.
My notes just say, damn, if only there was an onion.
But why are they on battle rations?
Yeah.
If
exactly.
They're
at
like
home.
Yeah, like
they're not under siege.
It doesn't make any sense. Like they should have a normal food supply. Like I don't know.
And they're not even like in the fight at this point. They're just waiting around, and they're like, you know what? While you wait, you get one piece of bread.
One bread.
Like if you're in a situation where your soldiers can be well fed before a fight, like you should you feed them well. Like don't put them on rations until you absolutely have to.
Right?
Yeah. They get bread and then they get a lot of wine.
Which
because
also
there's a
stupid.
wineskin being passed
Oh,
around.
God. Yeah, that's what you want before a fight, right? For everybody
Yeah.
to be drunk.
Yep.
So you know you're at your best.
Everyone's just gonna have wine hangovers, and it's gonna be horrible for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
That's
gonna
why
be a
they're
good time.
getting only bread. Be like, listen, you gotta soak up the wine a little.
Yeah.
Even one piece of bread, though, is not gonna do much.
No, it truly isn't.
No.
Their preparations for this battle is like they're collapsing all of these tunnels, but they leave 3 of them open to like funnel the Urgles onto the plains surrounding Trondheim that apparently exist.
Yeah.
And then they set up like a bunch of lanterns, cauldrons of pitch, stakes, trenches, barricades, and like a bunch of other like classic fantasy battle shit.
Yeah. I just feel like they could have maybe planned to kill more of them while they were bottlenecked, you know?
Yeah,
Probably.
it didn't seem like they took very good advantage once the battle starts in the next chapter of like the 3
Yeah.
bottleneck points.
No.
They like dump
did
some
not.
pitch on them, and the Urgles are like, ah! And then they just kind of come out of the holes and start running all over the place.
Yeah. For like the battle center for the Varden, they don't really seem prepared for battle.
No. I guess they probably weren't expecting to be found in Farthen.
Yeah, maybe they
'Cause
have
nobody
like
knows where it is.
armed strongholds elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess part of why the battle happens as it does, with kind of short notice as the Urgles are surprise attacking from the tunnels, is that they need to make a point of saying that the elves and their allies in Serta are too far away to help. So it has to have the extra tension of like, ooh, it's only them.
It's only them. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But like you said, they're still not very prepared, even for it just being them.
For anything at all.
No.
Complacent.
yeah.
Except they have a ton of pitch that they can just dump on Urgles, so like that's good
Yeah.
at least.
That's good.
What even is pitch?
Oh my god, okay, I looked it up.
Okay.
I was gonna talk about it in the next chapter because that's
Oh, I've
we're
already
kinda-
moved on, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we skipped the whole part where Eragon's a shithead about Arya, but
Yeah, he's shitty about her in this next chapter too, though, so we can come back
we
to
can,
it.
we can come back to it.
yeah. So pitch is a resin from plants,
Uh-huh.
and that's really as far as I got because that's really all there is to know about pitch.
What kind of plants?
Just like a lot of them, apparently.
Mm.
I guess it depends like what kind of, it's just called resin and you can get it from various plants. But the important thing is that pitch is like heavily used in various early thermal weaponry.
Oh.
Oh.
So, sort of exactly like this, where you dump boiling pitch or throw pitch and then light it on fire. But there
Ugh.
was this, I don't know how to pronounce this. The Boeotians developed a fire machine,
Oh my god.
which was basically like they had a cauldron of coals, pitch, and sulfur suspended at the end of a hollow log, and at the other end was a set of bellows.
Oh my god.
And they just like shot
flamethrower?
fiery pitch at people.
Oh my god.
my
That's
God.
horrifying.
That sounds
Right?
awful.
It's
What a
amazing.
terrible thing to encounter.
Yeah.
I mean, Saphira hasn't breathed fire yet, so I guess
Yeah.
the Varden is gonna have to do it.
They're gonna have to come up with their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I looked up about pitch.
I mean, that's still something.
Yeah. Hot resin that you can use to make a flamethrower or burn
Yeah.
Urgles to death. What else do you need to know?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm assuming it's just, resin, like, from cedar trees or whatever the hell.
Yeah. My note about the start of the battle says it starts with dumping boiling pitch on some Urgles, then lighting them on fire, and then shooting them with arrows. Yikes.
Yeah. Accurate.
Oh, and then they start getting impaled on stakes shortly thereafter.
Yeah. But then they start doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. But after that.
I guess they do take some advantage of the initial bottleneck, but there's just so many Urgles that they just keep coming.
Yeah.
It feels very orc, as someone who hasn't watched Lord of the Rings in many years, or read the books in even many years. It feels very much like a bunch of beasts acting for the collective.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. It's like a hive mind more than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I'm assuming is just the training that the cull undergo, where it's probably like, oh, it doesn't really matter what happens to any one cull. All that
Mhm.
matters is that you win the battle, which is like interesting because I feel like Tolkien orcs, that kind of makes sense for them because they're like made, or whatever the ones, the Uruk-hai are like made.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense that they would be made this way. But like the Urgals are like people.
Yeah, they're just some guys. Like,
They're just some guys.
it did sort of make me wonder, as I mentioned in the summary, there's like no clear leader, and
Yeah.
Paulini like makes a point of emphasizing that there's no obvious leader among the Urgals. But then at the end of the chapter, like the Shade shows up. So I wonder if part of the reason the Urgals are like acting so hive-y and unusually is like maybe they're being mind controlled in some way by the
Yeah.
Shade.
I would believe that.
I would too.
I don't remember, which is why I'm speculating. But it
You
could
mean
be
like
something like that.
from future books?
Yes,
If
sorry.
they mention it? Yeah, okay. I was like, I don't think they say it in this one.
No. That makes sense though.
It would make it more interesting, at least.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a fan
buy
of
it.
that.
Me
I'll
too.
sign it. Yes.
Maybe we'll find out in the
Never.
epilogue what the
Oh, yeah.
Urgals do after the Shade dies, because we definitely don't find out in these chapters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, because if that was the theory, then realistically they would like break out of that mind control.
Yeah.
So then what's gonna happen?
Yeah, like what do they do?
Yeah,
after?
do they start fleeing maybe? That'd be fun.
That would be fun. It also seems like, I guess we don't know what happens in the epilogue, but it feels like Eragon's fight at the end of this chapter with the Shade is like happening pretty independently of the battle outside.
Yeah.
I think
So like how does
so.
that wrap up? I guess
Yeah.
I'm getting really ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
That's okay. I want to talk about Eragon being a piece of about
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my
he
god.
is many times, but yes.
It's so like, it even starts with Eragon being like, he knew that he shouldn't like expect it, but Arya didn't leave with the other women out of Farthen, which, first of all, why are there no like women
Yeah.
fighters?
Why have none of the rebels in exile women learned how to
Surely
fight?
there are some,
One would assume.
You would hope.
because that's kind of half your force. You could
Yeah.
double your numbers with women.
And even like the warriors protecting the women and children as they leave the city are all like young boys and old men. And it's like, so they
Yeah.
didn't even like give a sword to like a 25-year-old lesbian.
Yeah, right?
I feel like that could work for you. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just me.
Well, it's, I think, falling back onto like old fantasy tropes again, right?
Ugh.
Because it's like it's the
But
same
it
thing Lord of the Rings
sucks.
does, where it's like Arwen is an elf and she's kind of considered like a warrior, a fighter, but then you have
Yeah.
Éowyn who is like refused to fight and forced
Yeah.
into the hold with all the women and children, but then she's the one
Yeah,
who
because
kills the
she
Witch
is no
King
man.
because she's a badass. But it's just like, I wasn't even shocked when reading it. That's the thing. Like, I think I'm just so
Yeah.
immune to it because I'm just like, it's so typical. And I was like, at least Eragon acknowledged he was being a dummy, but he's still a dummy. So,
But then he
Yeah.
still says, "Oh, it's too dangerous."
yeah,
Yeah.
he does ruin it, but it's unfortunate that it just falls into the typical
Yeah.
trope.
Yeah.
Like, did the dragons never pick human women?
They must
Right?
not have.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, I hate that.
Me
Right?
too.
Like,
Now that I'm
that's what
thinking
I'm
about it.
thinking.
Yeah, that's
Because I always just
obnoxious.
assumed it, like, they picked men and women no matter what, but that's a good point. It was probably just elves.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe it will be revealed that but like, I'm assuming not.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Anyway, I know this like specific interaction, I feel like I've seen in other fantasy novels where it's like the women are fighting and the men are also fighting, and you get a
Mhm.
scene that's like, instead of being like, it's too dangerous and I love you, you should stay away, it's more like I'm worried about you, I wish you would stay away. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's fair to tell someone like, I'm worried about you. I wish you wouldn't fight.
Mm-hmm.
But like to understand that like, but it's your choice. I just think I want you to know that I'm scared. It's like, okay,
But
that's fine.
I also like it though when it's like both parties in the relationship
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
it, you know? Like it's not
Yeah.
just the man to the woman, which is what we typically see, but it's like even if you have like a man to a man or a woman to a woman, like or man woman, but it's like mutual. Like you're both like, this really
Yeah.
sucks that we have to fight in this.
It's like we both wish the other one
Yeah.
Yeah.
wasn't
Right?
there, but
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway.
It's just, it's so typical.
Yeah. I like that Arya called him out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she immediately also ruined it. She was like, I'm a better warrior than you. I am fully capable.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you tell him. And then she goes, I don't run and hide like you're mewling females or whatever. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's like, what did they? Were they given
Oh,
a
is that what?
choice?
Does she say you're mealing females?
You're helpless females, yeah.
Oh, I totally missed that. My brain was like, yeah, you tell him, Arya. And I did not realize she was also kind of being the worst.
Just everybody in this book, including the women, is misogynistic, which I'm not super on board with.
I feel like I wouldn't. I'm sort of hoping the only way this turns around is like to show one of the ways that Eragon is like the hero or the good guy is like he encourages people to like train their women or something. You know, he's like, you know what? Everyone should have a chance or whatever. But it's kind of that they haven't yet. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm super not a fan of
that. Anyway.
And like maybe some of the women don't want to be warriors, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But surely some of them do.
Don't want to be warriors.
Yeah, like giving the little boys in the group of like women and children swords and is probably less effective than giving those swords to the adult women.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
But he had to make this battle very Helm's Deep-esque, and that's what in Helm's Deep they did. They gave it all to the little boys and the old men, and locked away one of their best warriors.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's fine.
I just realized that I didn't write Battle Under Farthen for this chapter title. I wrote Battle Under the Mountain because my brain was already in Tolkien.
Oh no.
Like I didn't even do that on purpose. I was just looking at my notes. I was like, wait, why did I write Battle Under the Mountain? I was like, because I was thinking about Tolkien.
I was thinking about The Hobbit.
Yeah, I was thinking about The Hobbit. Anyway, Angela shows up.
Angela shows
up.
It's
that was the
good.
Best part.
And she has like the coolest weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Angela has like I think it's called a glaive or a sword staff. Like I was trying to look up what this weapon was. Sorry, no, she doesn't have that because everything I found only has one blade on one end.
Yeah.
So like she has a staff with like a blade on either end. And everything I looked up was like, that's dumb. So, like the closest I could find was I think a glaive. It's like basically just a sword on the end of a staff, and sometimes they would put a hook on the other end to like hook riders off of horses. So yeah, I don't know what this double-ended sword staff is other than it sounding cool.
Yeah, I found a thing that was like, what is a staff in D&D with blades on both ends called? And I was like, yeah, I also want to know. And then the elaboration on the question was, in Eragon, there's an herbalist that uses a staff weapon.
Amazing.
Classic.
Yeah, and then the responses are all like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it's a cool video game weapon.
Yeah, the way it was described, I was like, oh, this sounds like a weapon that one of the characters in Tamora Pierce uses. And I was like, well, I'll just look up the thing that's in Tamora Pierce, and then maybe someone will have asked, like, what is this in real life? And then I was like, oh, Tamora Pierce just, like, actually used a real thing in Japanese. It's just a real weapon, because she, like, there's like a group, the Yamini, I think, and they're, like, basically fantasy medieval Japan.
Okay.
And apparently she just took real Japanese things. So I was like, that
Huh.
makes sense because she's taking
Yeah.
real European things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Makes sense. Still
Yeah.
doesn't really help us, but
doesn't really help because it's also just one blade. But anyway, that was just a fun aside for me
It's a fun aside.
to
Tomorrow
talk about
Pierce.
Tomorrow Pierce.
Of course.
You gotta. Yeah, and Solembum is also there. He has a small black dagger.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Ominous.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, it's literally just one paragraph with the two of them in it. Solembum gets a line. But imagine you're like a man in this main culture, like fighting in a battle, and then out of the corner of your eye you see a small child with pointy teeth and a knife just like stabbing
Yeah.
people
I
in the
love
back of the
it.
neck.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love
though.
that. Of course, Sam would be like, "Oh, a small black dagger. Oh, that's adorable."
Oh my god.
I didn't even think of that. I just thought it was cute, okay?
Sam just likes daggers.
How dare you call me out like that?
That's what
Again.
this podcast is for.
Yeah. Part of this battle, for part of it, Eragon and Saphira are on the ground, kind of like, I don't know, causing carnage in a circle. And then sometimes they go up in the sky to like get a breather or take a look around, or Saphira starts doing like very silent, low level like swoops on
Yeah.
batches of Urgles from behind. And maybe this is just the like nitpicky part of this podcast, but I got so caught up on the fact that she can apparently fly and land silently, which is like a difficult thing to do. Like, owls are kind of known as the thing that flies silently because they have a ton of like specialized physiology that allows them to be silent in flight. And flapping wings produces turbulence, which causes sound. So like, does Saphira have special feathers, or like, I wonder if she has like not cilia, but some kind of like fleshy feather structures like on the leading and trailing edges of her wings to allow her to like break up the turbulence of the air and like absorb some of the sound like owl feathers do.
I was wondering if it's because it never says that she's silent.
It does
But
in
I'm
the
just
first
wondering-
chapter.
Does it?
It does. It uses the adjective silently.
Oh, I thought it was just avoiding detection and then stealth. Because what I was thinking is that it's like a war. She's probably
Yeah.
just quieter than the sound of fighting.
Yeah. I mean,
pterosaurs have pycnofibers.
oh, that's the
So-
word I was looking for.
Maybe she has those.
Yeah.
Can you explain those to the non-dinosaur people?
Yeah, pycnofibers are more like hair.
Okay.
Like, so
Okay.
they're like pterosaurs were probably fuzzy,
That's
and
cute.
that fuzz is essentially hair. But they're I think they're adapted scales.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, well, because reptiles
Yeah.
don't have hair, but they do have feathers sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember because I think pycnofibers and feathers evolved from different things,
Oh, really?
but I think it might just be like pycnofibers evolved from like osteoderms or something.
I mean, it sounds right.
What matters is that it's fur.
Yeah.
Aw. I love the idea of Saphira, like, having a couple of feathers or some fur.
Yeah, because then that would also help like break up the edge, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
like, part of what the feather shape of, or on owls does, is it, like, breaks up the air, which allows it to flow more smoothly.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, fringe along the trailing edge that I guess, like, absorbs some of the noise and helps, like, streamline the airflow over the shape of the wing.
Neat.
Which, like, apparently in owls, there's, like, a ton of, like, tiny little adaptations that all work together to make silent flight, and they clearly, like, evolved carefully over millions of years. But if Saphira magicked her wings on, then she wouldn't be very quiet. Because they
Oh,
would
But
just
she
be
magicked
chunky wings.
her front
But
legs on.
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
guess she would have had her wing adaptations already.
Yeah, because if we think that the way they hunted, right? We've talked
Mhm.
about this. Like, if she was diving to hit a deer or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then it would make sense that on that dive, she would want to be silent.
Yeah, and that's like one of the theories for why owls evolved silent flight is it tends to be more pronounced in species that hunt mammals or species with like keener hearing. So like if you are trying to ambush something from above, you don't want it to be able to hear you.
Right.
So I feel like this is my long-winded roundabout way of saying that I feel like this supports the idea that they were like hunters with magic front legs.
Yeah, that that dragons hunted dwarves who have good hearing.
Yep.
Because they live in the dark.
Because they live underground and
Yeah.
Earth transmits sound waves really well.
Yeah. No, I like that theory. Anyway.
Yeah, should we just go straight into the fight with Durza?
Yeah. I mean, you
Alright.
already mentioned the slide, which was the best part.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
But it took 10 minutes.
It took 10 minutes?
It took so
10
long.
minutes! Like, why?
What
That's
the
as
hell?
long
Like,
as we talk about genre issues in YA.
But that's like, can you imagine just being in a battle and then like having to go take a 10-minute ride down a slide?
I hope there's like dwarf elevator music playing at the same time.
That's all I could think of when I read it. Yeah, it was like he's just like going down this slide, just being like do 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 do.
Yeah, that's the Jeopardy music.
That is Jeopardy. I realize.
I was thinking "Girl from Ipanema."
Yeah.
Both good waiting sounds.
See?
I wrote, there's an opportunity for math here because the fact that it takes him 10 minutes and he says he accelerates almost instantly and like the slide is super polished, he's on a leather mat, there's like a low coefficient of friction, he like lies back to make himself like super aerodynamic. And I'm like, we could probably like do some math to figure out how tall this is based on this time, but I didn't. I made a note that you could.
Yeah, someone could do that for sure.
I definitely could have done it in grade 11 when I was in a physics class, but I haven't done physics in 10 years.
Physics is hard.
Yeah, it was not my forte.
Me neither.
Literally, we probably could have just looked up like how fast does a child go going down a slide, and that probably would have been a pretty close estimate.
Yeah, well, but then we'd have to like account for the shape of the slide. Anyway, I did think a lot about it. I just didn't do it.
You just exerted a lot of brain power on thinking about how someone might do it.
How someone might do it. I thought about doing it, and then I was like, no. It made me as dizzy as Eragon is by the time he gets yeeted out the bottom of the slide across the floor.
Yeah, I would be throwing up.
Oh my god. Like, the mental image of Eragon being like, oh my god, it's so important I get to the base of this mountain quickly. And then he goes down a death slide for 10 minutes and then has to spend another several minutes just like sitting on the floor waiting to stop spinning.
Lying down.
It's like, okay. Extremely dignified.
Yeah, and then he gets there and the twins are not talking to him, which is
MIA.
So sus.
Oh my god, I don't trust those guys.
Not at
honestly,
all.
I was expecting Eragon would get down there and Durza would be waiting for him. Like, that's what I was expecting, that the twins just straight up lured him into a trap.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that that wasn't the case.
Me too. I'm pretty sure they did.
I think they did, but in their defense, they didn't lie. They're like, we think Durza's coming up, or we think the Urgles are coming up through the floor, and
they did.
He and Arya did need to go there to stop them.
Yeah.
So they could conceivably not have led him into a trap, except now they're not talking to him.
Yeah, and now they're not there.
I think it's a trap.
I think so too.
They're very sus.
Also. Well, and like, how would the Shade know to come out exactly there where Eragon was?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he's got magic.
Yeah, maybe he can like feel where Eragon is with his magic.
Or like
they
he
do
could
like
feel
get
where
in each other's brains.
Trondheim is more what I was thinking.
Okay, fine.
But
he might be able to feel the crystal. It hasn't come up in this book, but like later on in the trilogy, or in the series rather, you find out that you can like store a lot of magical energy in crystals. So there could be like a shit ton of magic in that crystal, and maybe he could feel it.
Maybe that. Maybe. Or just in
who knows?
all of Trondheim's crystals.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out when we all collectively read the rest of the series, right?
Oh
Sam?
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
I like how you said Sam as though it was obvious that I definitely would.
Yeah.
I'm not
Of
going
course you
to.
will. What?
I mean, there was a higher chance
Betrayal.
of you continuing it than me.
That's a good point.
I've been very upfront about my feelings towards the writing style of this book.
Yeah.
Well, Sam is very
Maybe it gets better
anti-Pauline.
the way that most child books.
I'm honestly just glad I didn't buy his adult book because I really wanted to because the cover was really pretty.
It is.
I'm really glad I didn't waste my money now, though. Now knowing,
Yeah.
but I'm sure his writing has gotten
It's
better.
been
It's probably changed in 15
it's-
years.
I was gonna say it's been closer to 20.
I would
Yeah.
hope so, but I also did not see a single good review for the book. So
Fair.
yeah. Anyways,
Anyways.
Eragon fights Durza.
Yeah. I appreciate that he at least has like the presence of mind to be like, I'm not gonna win this fight. I need to contact Saphira immediately and like ask for help.
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, good call. And then he's like, well, and to the battle. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, got halfway there. Maybe you should run away.
Maybe you should leave.
Leave.
Yeah, and then surprising nobody, all the stuff he learned about doing a magical fight comes home to roost.
Yep, sure does. Durza gets in his brain, and Eragon is like, get out of my brain. And then he somehow pushes back and gets into Durza's brain
Yep.
and sees his tragic backstory.
So tragic.
Yeah, it's extremely original. He was like a little boy from a nomad clan. His family was outcast, then his family was murdered, and he was taken in by a kindly old man who taught him to do magic, who was also then murdered.
Yeah.
A story none of us have ever seen before.
No.
Never.
Then he got inhabited by the spirits that he had summoned
Yep,
from somewhere.
from somewhere. From wherever the spirits are.
And whatever spirits are.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He almost kills Eragon. This comes up again later in the books, but you wouldn't know about it. But he like cuts him real bad across the back, and Eragon is like, holy shit, that hurts.
Perhaps like with a Nazgul blade.
Yeah. Again, extremely original.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then Saphira breaks the very expensive star sapphire.
Yeah.
Also, like, huh? Did it not immediately also kill Eragon to have these, like, crystal shards plummeting down at him?
I think Arya does magic to protect him.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like Eragon is half unconscious, which makes things a little unclear as we're reading from his perspective.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but he does say that it like seems that the crystals like stop falling towards him. And I'm assuming that it's Arya doing magic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Wow, seeing a Saphira in danger, Eragon has the strength to do a Brazinger. Surprising nobody.
A Brazinger!
Wow, what a good time.
I turned it into a verb, and I said that Eragon Brazingers the shade through the heart.
Yeah. I mean, he does.
He does. It is, again,
Yeah.
very, like, Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Which
I was
is
gonna
like,
say.
There.
I almost was
Expelliarmus.
like an Expelliarmus. But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, then Durza is just a ghost.
Yeah, his skin goes transparent and reveals that it has in fact been some sort of weird fleshy exoskeleton for the, like,
Ew.
demon ghosts in
Which
his
is
body.
Which is what we hypothesized.
It's
We did.
That
I thought we were
ghost-
joking.
that the ghost just goes somewhere else and regrows a fleshy exoskeleton.
Ew.
But also, he makes a point of mentioning that, like, the swirling patterns of darkness below the skin are neither flesh nor bone. So, like, why
Yeah.
do you have to stab him through the heart if there isn't a heart in there anymore?
a mystery.
Truly.
What were you gonna say, Sam?
I was gonna say we also weren't 100% sure as to whether or not spirits were in fact demon type spirits or alcohol. So
Oh yeah.
Oh, true, yeah.
Now
because
we
I
know.
did just re-listen to this episode and we
Okay,
did leave with some uncertainty. So at least now
Now we know.
We have been answered.
Now we know he's possessed with demons and not
And not
alcoholism.
alcohol.
Oh, God,
Amazing.
yeah. Dramatic. His skin just like, or his, I guess, skin suit rips in half. And all
So
of the
gross.
darkness like coalesces into 3 separate entities that just like piece off into the sky.
Yeah, that probably won't come back later.
Definitely not.
Like, they're out, but the shade is now dead. But like the
Yeah?
spirits are still there.
I guess to possess another future shade?
Yeah, maybe there's like, I don't know, they all enter into some part of the human being that is in the heart. And then once that breaks, they get out and can't go back in.
They can't go, well, because their heart doesn't exist now.
Well,
They metaphorically go in the heart.
Or maybe they like congregate to form like a heart like substance or
Ooh,
structure,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
maybe
Gather.
Yeah, like that's where they all gather within the meaty exoskeleton or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's why you have to stab them right in the heart, because really like the spirits aren't anywhere else in the body, so it doesn't matter. But if you get all of them in the center, then it's like bye.
Bye-bye.
I guess, yeah, like the chest of a person is extremely central and very well protected by the skeleton. So I guess even if you're not a fleshy heart and you are in fact a dark entity, it's still a pretty protected place to be.
Yeah.
I would say
proximal to all of the limbs.
It's like either that or in the head, but like
yeah.
I feel like in this situation it would make more sense if it was the head, just because it's like,
I agree.
It's the spirits like controlling them. But I don't know, he's supposed to be like a vampire. The most common vampire mythos is you have to stab him through a heart, so whatever, I'll take it.
I was also thinking it's like Cat's shy? I don't actually know how to say it. The like Russian myth about like the guy who has a magical heart that you have to stab if you do anything else.
Oh,
I haven't
he
heard
can't
that.
be killed. It's like it's the one like he has a magical realm inside a maze and he always steals the prettiest women in the whole world.
Oh, I've never heard this.
You haven't heard that one? Okay.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, and then he falls asleep. Eragon does.
Yeah.
Does
Totally
he fall asleep or pass out?
Definitely
he might die.
He might
just
die.
Straight up be dead.
He might be dead.
Is this gonna pull a Jon Snow on us? Oh wait, that's a spoiler. Anyways.
I think if people
if anyone cared about Game of Thrones,
that's
they would know already.
People get really like upset about it, but yeah, anyways.
It's been
People do get upset about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I was more wondering, is it gonna, I don't know what the epilogue is bringing, so I'm like, is it gonna be like, it's this uncertainty of whether Eragon is alive or not? Like, obviously we know he is because there's other books, but at the time of this coming out, I'm sure there would have been like some uncertainty. I don't know.
I feel like you just gotta assume that he's still alive because no fantasy book before now has killed the protagonist, so obviously at the end, and there's nothing original. I guess Lord of the Rings sort of killed Frodo.
Well, I was gonna say Game of Thrones we established came out before this, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't kill like the POV characters.
Yeah, they did.
Did they? Which one?
Oh yeah.
I have no memory of this clearly.
Ned Stark is
Was
like
he a POV character?
He's a POV in the first book.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was he?
Well,
I've read the
he
first
is,
book.
yeah.
Anyway.
So did I.
He's
Just like Jon Snow, I know nothing.
It's like Eddard, Sansa. There's a few of them, but he's definitely one of the POV characters in that first book, and he is dead by the end.
I remember him dying was the reason I didn't read the next book, because I was like, well, this.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, well, are we done? Do we want to guess what happens in the epilogue?
I guess.
Are we done talking about the chapters of this book?
I had nothing else.
Technically, the next chapter is not even called the epilogue, so it's technically just another chapter.
It is technically just
the epilogue.
Yeah, we're gonna guess what happens in the one chapter at the end of the book. It's called the Morning Sage, like morning, like sad.
Sad morn.
Not like the morning time.
That's not like an obvious chapter title, like for the first time.
Unless Eragon's dead.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I
And then
mean.
they're mourning him.
But we know he's not dead.
Do we?
Okay, fine. Maybe he's dead. But wasn't Hemlock the, like, ritual state or ritual
Oh, yeah.
herb for death?
Yeah, true.
Hmm.
Maybe it means sage like a smart person.
Or maybe sage is, like, part of the dwarfs ritual or the elves ritual
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I remember what this is referring to, so I shouldn't say.
I'm assuming
That's
this is going to
fair.
end on some sort of cliffhanger, though, so I don't think we're going to get all the answers we want or need. Or, like, actually, I don't even know. What are the answers that I want? What do I want
What
to
answers
know?
do you want, Sam?
I don't
I'm
know.
assuming something needs to happen that drives the beginning of the next book.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, could just end in a cliffhanger.
I guess, yeah, it could end on a cliffhanger of Eragon being hurt, maybe.
Or it could be like Arya and him have to escape on Saphira, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe the Varden get destroyed. Like, maybe the Urgles win.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I was thinking, like, they still have to, like, wrap up what happens to the Urgles after Eragon and the
Yeah.
Shade mutually kill each other.
Yeah, hopefully they do tell us what happened
Yeah, that
to
would be
Farthen
chill.
Door, but maybe they
Yeah.
don't.
Guess we'll see.
Guess
We'll
we'll
find
see.
out.
We'll find
In
out.
2 weeks.
Cool. Well, let's talk about what else we're reading. I am apparently a person who reads nonfiction now only.
Ooh.
I'm just
I love nonfiction.
listen, I'm having a hard time with fiction at the moment. I
That's
don't know
fair.
why. Anyway, I just to shout out some books I read. I read The End of Everything by Katie Mack. The End of Everything in brackets, astrophysically speaking, which was hard. It was hard to get through. I would stop paying attention for 10 seconds and I'd be like, I don't know what this is happening anymore. But it was good and it was written very entertainingly. Same with, I also read Humans, A Brief History of How We F***ed It All Up.
Yeah.
Yeah!
That one's so good.
Yeah, it was very fun.
I
Isn't it
love the
great?
audiobook of that.
It
Yeah.
was really good. I liked
Yeah.
the person reading it very much.
Yeah, it's
They did
great.
a really good job.
But then I also want to shout out Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton. It's a graphic novel. Kate Beaton is one of my favorite, I guess, previously comic artists. And I really liked this graphic novel, even though it was very different and kind of rough.
Oh.
But it was good. Yeah. Would recommend all 3 of those books.
Nice. Well, carrying on from your nonfiction trend, I also read a nonfiction book called Entangled Life: How Fungi Make Our Worlds Change Our Minds and Shape Our Futures, which was cool. It was pretty good. It loses a point because it also mentioned Richard Dawkins, but
Ooh.
yeah, but other than that, decent. And then I decided to read Go Hex Yourself, which is a Halloween rom-com book that is clearly Raylo fanfiction. Was it the best book I ever read? No. Did I have a fun time? I mean, sometimes.
Also,
Will I
no.
read the second one? Maybe. We'll see. It wasn't that great. Like, it wasn't very well written, but it was fine. You know, like, it was fine. Anyways, then other than that, I started my mission of trying to read Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson again, and actually made my way through the first part of it, which is 277 pages of 1200. So,
Wow.
doing great.
So many.
That's very long.
It's so long, but I've now put it back down. It's gonna take a break for again because I have to read our October book, which is when we're recording this, which is The Lies of Loch Lamora. So that is my next book, and Rhythm of War will just take a little break for a while.
Yay. I hope you like it this time.
It wasn't that I didn't like it the first time, it's that I was not in the mindset to read that, like, kind of fantasy when I first picked it up.
Kind of a lot.
Yeah, so I think I'm definitely in the better mindset to read it this time, because the first time I was like moving, changing jobs, in a new relationship, like all this stuff, and I was just like, oh, what is going on? So I have high hopes. I think I will like it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I've read a couple books since we last recorded. None of them were nonfiction, though. They're mostly sci-fi fantasy.
Nice.
And I would like to give a shout out for A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, which is the sequel to A Psalm for the Wild Built, which you might remember me talking about, I think,
Yes.
I don't know, earlier.
Yes.
Also very good. And then I am so close to being finished Jade Legacy, which is book 3 in the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. And I just started listening to A Man Called Uva by Frederick Bachman, because he is swiftly becoming one of my favorite authors.
My boyfriend liked that book, so I think you'll like it.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
So far, Uva is an unlikable curmudgeon, but I have a feeling that's the point.
Yeah. That's what she said too.
Yeah. I'm sure I will love him by the end, but it's got a little bit of like the beginning of the House in the Cerulean Sea vibes, where it's like, I actually don't like this guy very much, but I feel like I'm going to grow to love him. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And with that, if you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on Spotify or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And Eragon, like me, in the 7th hour of my meeting today, he shook himself to alertness and tried to focus through his stupor.
Oh, poor Sam.
That's so many hours.
That's so rough.
I have 7 more hours tomorrow.
No!
Oh my god.